Every single morning, without thinking twice, millions of people pull up to a gas station, stick a nozzle into their car, and pump a liquid into their tank that was, just weeks ago, buried 2 miles underground in complete darkness, under pressure so intense it could crush a submarine. But here's what nobody tells you. That liquid didn't just get drilled out and poured into your car. It went through one of the most violent, chemically complex, and genuinely dangerous transformation processes on the planet. And somewhere inside that process, there's a secret that the oil industry quietly hopes you never connect the dots on. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll never look at a gas pump the same way again. If you've ever wondered what really happens between the ground and your gas tank, hit that subscribe button right now, because this channel uncovers the hidden stories behind the things you use every single day. Now, let's go back to where this story actually begins. Not at a refinery, not at a gas station, but billions of years ago, at the bottom of ancient oceans. Tiny marine organisms, plankton, algae, microscopic sea creatures, died and sank to the seafloor in unimaginable quantities. Layer after layer of sediment buried them over millions of years. Heat and pressure from the earth cooked those organic remains into something entirely new. A thick, dark liquid trapped inside porous rock formations miles underground. That liquid is crude oil. And here's the part that genuinely messes with your head. Every single time you fill up your tank, you are burning the compressed remains of ancient sea life that died before dinosaurs even existed. That's not poetry. That's chemistry. But finding that ancient liquid is where the real drama starts. Oil doesn't sit in convenient underground pools waiting to be discovered. It hides inside rock, invisible, silent, spread across formations that can stretch hundreds of miles. So geologists deploy one of the most impressive technologies humans have ever built: seismic surveying. Massive vibrating trucks or underwater air guns send powerful sound waves deep into the earth. Those waves bounce back off underground rock layers and return to sensors on the surface. A supercomputer then assembles those signals into a three-dimensional map of everything buried beneath. It's essentially giving the Earth a full-body X-ray, and even with that technology, the majority of exploratory wells drilled come up completely dry. Every single well is a multi-million-dollar gamble. When they do strike oil, the drilling process alone is something most people have no mental picture of. The drill bit doesn't punch straight down cleanly. It grinds through sandstone, shale, granite, rock that has been compressed for hundreds of millions of years. And to keep that drill from destroying itself, engineers constantly pump a thick fluid called drilling mud down the pipe. It cools the bit, carries broken rock back to the surface, and, this is the critical part, it maintains pressure inside the well. Because if that pressure balance breaks, you get a blowout. Uncontrolled reservoir fluids erupt toward the surface at explosive force. The 2010 Deepwater Horizon disaster, which killed 11 workers and spilled 4.9 million barrels of oil into the Gulf of Mexico, was caused by exactly that: a pressure failure nobody caught in time. So when someone tells you gasoline is dangerous, they're not talking about the stuff in your tank. The danger starts 2 miles underground before a single drop reaches the surface. When crude oil finally surfaces, it's practically useless. It's a dark, thick, sometimes sulfurous mixture of hundreds of different hydrocarbon molecules all tangled together. In fact, raw crude straight from the well can smell like rotten eggs because of hydrogen sulfide gas dissolved inside it. A gas so toxic that a single deep breath at high concentration can cause immediate unconsciousness. Workers at extraction sites wear gas detectors around their necks the way construction workers wear hard hats. It's that routine and that serious. Before the crude is even shipped anywhere, sulfur compounds are stripped out and converted into elemental sulfur, which is then sold to agricultural companies and used as fertilizer. The oil industry's waste product literally feeds crops. Nothing disappears. Everything gets sold. Then the crude travels, sometimes through pipelines stretching over 600 miles, running day and night without stopping, to a refinery. And refineries are not factories. They are cities. Some of the world's largest, like the Jamnagar refinery in India, cover more land than the entire island of Manhattan and process over 1 million barrels of crude every single day. Inside the distillation tower is where the magic and the danger peak simultaneously. Crude oil is superheated past 700 degrees Fahrenheit and pumped into the base of a massive column as vapor. As it rises and cools, different molecules condense at different heights. Heaviest compounds fall to the bottom and become asphalt for roads and roofing. Moving upward, diesel condenses, then jet fuel, then kerosene. Near the very top, where it's coolest, the lightest molecules condense into raw gasoline. 1 barrel of crude produces roughly 19 gallons of gasoline, 10 gallons of diesel, and 5 gallons of jet fuel, plus plastics, lubricants, and dozens of other products sitting in your home right now without you realizing it. But that raw gasoline still isn't what goes into your car. It gets tested against an octane rating, the number you see at every pump. Octane measures how resistant the fuel is to knocking, which is when gasoline ignites too early inside the engine cylinder, sending shock waves through metal components. Low octane in a high-performance engine doesn't just waste fuel, it physically damages the engine over time. So every single batch leaving a refinery is run through combustion engine tests before it's cleared. If it fails, it goes back. Only when it passes does it move forward. And the final leg of this journey is where most people would be genuinely shocked if they watched it happen. Loading gasoline onto a tanker truck generates static electricity in the metal body of the truck. Static electricity near gasoline vapor. Think about that combination for a second. One spark, not even an open flame, just static, near gasoline vapor can trigger a catastrophic explosion. This is why tanker trucks are fitted with grounding cables that must be physically connected to the loading terminal before a single valve opens. Overflow sensors cut the flow automatically if a tank reaches capacity. A separate vapor recovery system captures gasoline fumes released during loading so they don't drift into the open air. These are not optional safety suggestions. They are the difference between a routine fuel delivery and a disaster. And that truck then pulls into your gas station, locks its hoses onto underground storage tank inlets, and gravity quietly moves the fuel down while you're inside buying a coffee and thinking about nothing at all. Here's the thought I want to leave you with, and this is the part the original story of gasoline always skips. The entire chain, from ancient ocean floor to your fuel tank, takes hundreds of millions of years to create the raw material and then roughly 3 weeks of drilling, pumping, shipping, refining, testing, and transporting to put it in your car. You burn through it in a few days. And we do that 8 billion times a day, globally. That equation has a clock on it, and scientists, engineers, and energy companies all know it. What comes next is genuinely one of the most important questions of the next 50 years. If that question interests you, what actually replaces gasoline and whether it's already happening faster than you think, that's exactly what we're covering in the next video. Make sure you're subscribed and the notification bell is on because that one will be even bigger than this.